Today, we're diving into a powerful philosophy that has stood the test of time, Stoicism, to uncover 5 simple, yet profound practices that can help you live a happier, more fulfilled life. These aren't complex theories or hard-to-grasp concepts. These are practical tools, tested by centuries of wisdom, that you can start using right now to transform your mindset and your happiness. You may be wondering why Stoicism. Stoicism isn't just for ancient philosophers or historical texts. It's for you, for me, and for anyone who wants to live a life filled with purpose, peace, and true contentment. Imagine navigating life's challenges with a sense of calm, never swayed by what happens around you, but always in control of how you respond. At the heart of Stoic philosophy is a revolutionary idea. Happiness is not found in what happens to us, but in how we respond to what happens. In today's video, we'll uncover 5 simple things that, when practiced, can shift your life from stress and uncertainty to calm and clarity. These are not about waiting for things to change around you, but about changing how you experience the world and, most importantly, how you experience yourself. So if you're ready to stop chasing happiness and start living it, let's dive into these timeless principles that will guide you towards a life of peace and lasting joy. Welcome to the world of Stoicism. Number 1. Control your reactions, not external circumstances. The first thing we need to live a happier life is to control our reactions, not external circumstances. This principle is at the very core of Stoicism. In fact, it might be the most important lesson you can learn from this philosophy. Epictetus, a former slave turned Stoic philosopher, teaches us that while we cannot control the events that happen to us, we can control how we respond to them. In his famous work, The Enchiridion, the Handbook, Epictetus writes, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." What does this mean in practice? Let's say you're stuck in traffic. Most people's immediate reaction is frustration or anger. You might feel your heart rate rising, your patience thinning, and your mood worsening. This is a natural response, but it's also something you have complete control over. Stoics believe that instead of getting upset, you can choose how to respond. You can use that time to listen to a podcast, reflect on your day, or simply practice patience. The traffic hasn't changed, but your response to it has. The key here is recognizing that our emotional responses are a choice. When something goes wrong, whether it's a flat tire, a bad review at work, or a negative comment on social media, our first instinct is often to react with frustration, resentment, or self-pity. But the Stoic approach asks, is this within my control? If the answer is no, then why let it disturb your peace of mind? Epictetus also suggests that we should remember that what is in your power is to control your reactions, not the event itself. Imagine how different your life would be if you made it a habit to stop, think, and choose your response in moments of stress or challenge. A practical way to implement this is through the practice of cognitive reframing. When faced with a situation that seems upsetting, pause and reframe the situation in a way that benefits your peace of mind. For instance, if you spill coffee on your shirt before an important meeting, instead of thinking, "This is a disaster, I'm so unlucky," try thinking, "It's a small inconvenience, and I'll deal with it calmly." This simple shift can help you avoid unnecessary frustration and maintain a sense of calm. Additionally, you can practice negative visualization, a technique advocated by Stoics. This involves imagining the worst-case scenario, not in a way that causes fear, but rather to prepare yourself emotionally. By mentally rehearsing how you would respond to setbacks, you can develop the resilience needed to stay calm when things don't go as planned. The Stoic concept of focusing only on what is in our control is profoundly liberating. It allows us to detach from the outcomes of external events, freeing us from unnecessary emotional turmoil. And when we stop reacting negatively to things outside our control, we create more room for happiness, peace, and gratitude. Number 2, practice gratitude. Moving on to the second principle, practicing gratitude. In a world where we're constantly striving for more and more wealth, more recognition, more possessions, it's easy to forget how much we already have. Stoicism, however, teaches us to appreciate the present and recognize the gifts we already possess. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers and a Roman emperor, wrote extensively about gratitude in his meditations. He reminds us to focus on the simple things we often take for granted. In one passage, he says, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." Imagine waking up each day with that perspective, instead of grumbling about the things you don't have or the challenges that await. What if you took a moment to express gratitude for the gift of life itself? The fact that you can think, feel, love, and experience the world is a privilege that many of us overlook in the hustle of daily life. In Stoicism, gratitude is not just about feeling thankful for good things that happen to us. It's about appreciating everything, the good and the bad, as part of the greater journey. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, suggested that we remind ourselves that we are capable of using what happens to us as a means for growth. When we practice gratitude, we shift our focus from what we lack to what we already have. This simple shift can create profound changes in our emotional and mental well-being. In fact, research in positive psychology has shown that regular gratitude practices can increase happiness, improve relationships, and reduce depression. So, how can we practice gratitude? One of the most effective ways is by keeping a gratitude journal. Every night, take a few minutes to write down 3 things you're grateful for. These don't have to be big, life-altering events. It could be the warmth of your morning tea, the kindness of a friend, or the beauty of the sunset. Another practice is to express gratitude to the people around you. Take time to thank a colleague, a family member, or a friend. When you acknowledge the good in your life and the people who contribute to it, you not only lift their spirits, but you also strengthen your sense of connection and happiness. Incorporating gratitude into your daily routine will help you appreciate the present moment and see that happiness is not about having more, but about fully experiencing what you already have. Number 3, embrace virtue over external success. The third thing you need to live a happier life is to embrace virtue over external success. This is perhaps the most profound insight that Stoicism offers. In today's world, it's easy to equate happiness with external success, whether it's money, fame, or material possessions. We're constantly told that these are the things that will bring us happiness. But Stoicism teaches us something different. True happiness comes from within, from living in alignment with our virtues. Seneca, in his letters to Lucilius, writes, "It is not the things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them." In other words, it's not the external events that affect us, it's the way we interpret and respond to them. For the Stoics, Happiness is not about achieving success in the traditional sense, but about cultivating virtues like wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These are the qualities that contribute to a good life, regardless of how much money or fame you have. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reflects on the fleeting nature of fame and wealth. He reminds himself that true value comes from living virtuously, not from the applause of others. He writes, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. By focusing on virtue over external success, you align yourself with the things that are truly within your control. And when you live according to your values, you can experience a deep sense of fulfillment that no amount of wealth or recognition can provide." How can you embrace virtue over success? One way is to ask yourself daily, did I act with wisdom today? Did I make decisions based on courage, fairness, and self-discipline? You can even make a virtue journal, where you reflect on your actions and thoughts throughout the day and consider how they align with the Stoic virtues. As you cultivate virtue, you'll find that happiness doesn't come from achieving external success, but from the satisfaction of living according to your highest principles. Number 4, practice self-discipline. Now, let's move on to the fourth principle, self-discipline. If you're looking to live a happier life, self-discipline is essential. Stoicism teaches us that we must be masters of ourselves, our desires, our impulses, and our behaviors. Without self-discipline, we are subject to external forces and our fleeting desires, leading us away from true happiness. Seneca wrote in his letters to Lucilius, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This powerful statement highlights the fact that real freedom comes from self-mastery. Imagine how liberating it would feel to be free from the constant pull of distractions, temptations, and unhealthy habits. This is where self-discipline comes in. One of the central teachings of Stoic philosophy is the idea that we cannot control the world around us, but we can control our internal world. We can choose to practice self-restraint, to focus on long-term goals rather than short-term pleasures, and to resist the pull of indulgence. This is not about denying ourselves joy, but about understanding that true happiness comes from within and not from momentary pleasures. Self-discipline is the ability to delay gratification and to make decisions that align with our values and long-term well-being, rather than giving in to impulses that bring short-lived satisfaction. It's the practice of saying no to instant gratification in favor of future happiness. How does this look in practice? Let's say you're trying to eat healthier, but you're tempted by a piece of cake. Your immediate desire is to indulge, but through self-discipline, you remind yourself of your long-term goal, to feel healthier and stronger. By choosing the healthier option, you practice self-control and align with your goal. Seneca encourages us to consider the costs of indulgence and the benefits of restraint. He reminds us that indulgence in excess brings suffering in the long run, whereas discipline leads to lasting peace and happiness. The Stoics weren't advocating for complete denial of pleasure. They recognized that some pleasures are natural and necessary, but they emphasized moderation and the importance of choosing long-term goals over immediate gratification. A powerful Stoic practice for cultivating self-discipline is to create daily habits that align with your values. Whether it's maintaining a regular exercise routine, setting aside time for self-reflection, or practicing mindfulness in daily activities. These small acts of discipline compound over time, leading to greater control over your impulses and, ultimately, a more peaceful and happy life. Another useful tool for developing self-discipline is to set clear intentions at the start of each day. Before you begin, reflect on what you want to achieve and how you want to behave. This mental preparation primes your mind for discipline and helps you stay focused on what truly matters. The Stoics also recommend practicing self-denial in small, manageable ways to strengthen your willpower. For example, you could practice fasting from certain comforts, such as social media or unnecessary luxuries, as a way of building your self-control. Over time, these small acts of discipline will make it easier to resist temptations in more significant areas of life. By practicing self-discipline, you not only gain control over your desires, but you also find freedom. You're no longer enslaved to your impulses or the distractions of the world. Instead, you live with purpose and intentionality, which leads to deeper contentment and lasting happiness. Number 5. Accept the impermanence of life. Finally, the fifth principle for living a happier life is to accept the impermanence of life. One of the most profound teachings of Stoicism is the understanding that everything in life is temporary. We often take life for granted, focusing on future achievements or dwelling on past regrets. But the Stoics teach us that the only moment we truly have is the present one. The practice of memento mori, remembering that death is inevitable, is central to Stoic thought. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, frequently reflected on the brevity of life in his meditations. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This might seem morbid at first, but it's actually a powerful practice for living fully in the present. By acknowledging the fleeting nature of life, we are reminded to appreciate the time we have and to focus on what truly matters. Life is fragile, and we never know how much time we have left. The more we accept this reality, the less we fear death, and the more we can embrace the present moment. This understanding of impermanence also helps us put our challenges and struggles into perspective. When things go wrong, when we face setbacks, or when we experience loss, the Stoic practice is to remind ourselves that this, too, shall pass. Life's ups and downs are all part of the natural cycle, and nothing is permanent. The good times won't last forever, but neither will the bad times. This can bring a sense of peace and acceptance in difficult situations. One practical exercise for embracing impermanence is to meditate on your mortality. Take a moment each day to reflect on the fact that life is finite. This doesn't have to be a sad or depressing exercise. Instead, it's an opportunity to reflect on what you want to do with the time you have. What do you want to contribute to the world? How do you want to live your life in alignment with your values? By reflecting on the impermanence of life, you can let go of unnecessary fears and worries about the future. You begin to live more fully in the present, appreciating the people around you and the small moments of beauty in life. The Stoic practice of memento mori ultimately leads to greater peace of mind and contentment, as it frees us from anxiety about what we cannot control. Another way to practice acceptance of impermanence is to focus on what you can control in the present moment. Instead of worrying about the past or fearing the future, bring your attention to the here and now. Practice mindfulness and gratitude for the present, and let go of attachments to outcomes or the need to control everything. When you embrace the impermanence of life, you start to live with greater clarity and purpose. You let go of unnecessary distractions and fears, and you make the most of the time you have. This shift in perspective leads to a deeper, more enduring sense of happiness. In the end, Stoicism teaches us that happiness is not something we can attain by external means. It's something we create through the way we live our lives. By practicing these 5 Stoic principles, we can build a lasting sense of peace and fulfillment that isn't dependent on external circumstances. Remember, happiness isn't something that happens to us. It's something we cultivate through our thoughts, actions, and attitudes. The Stoic path is not always easy, but it offers profound rewards, peace of mind, clarity, and happiness that comes from within. Thank you for watching Stoic Horizons. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe and share it with someone who might benefit from these Stoic teachings. And until next time, stay calm, stay virtuous, and remember, your happiness is in your hands.